morality.
Tonight, we discuss the travesty that is Strange New Worlds, then we'll continue the discussion with the masterpiece that is the Orville, and conclude tonight's broadcast with yet another masterpiece, The Old Man. All this coming up right now on The Writer Brothers. And welcome back to your Tuesday night recap for Star Trek, The Orville, and The Old Man. My name is Petey York. I'm your host this evening, joined once again by the ever so lovely Pollo Zapatos off to that direction, and my other co-host slash panelist slash witch in residence slash really annoying guy, Orion Rich in residence. There it is. You like to try to get at least one diss, and sometimes on myself. We are, of course, here to talk once again, and as you could probably tell from my lovely review intro about Strange New Worlds, we're going to start, of course, with what we didn't like. And who wants to go first? Because I can go first.
First, I'm going to say, let us all raise a glass for Hemmer.
Yeah.
He went out like an absolute boss, for the record, and the fact that he is gone is basically killed my interest in the show, because let's be honest, he was the most interesting character there.
Yeah, my enthusiasm for Strange New Sucks really dies with the show. And fan mail from Maria with T and Telly.
Nice.
You guys, yes, us guys, are here to discuss whether or not we like Strange New Worlds still. I'm gonna watch next week's episode, and we're obviously gonna still talk about it. It's like Kenobi all over again. I'm not mad, I'm just really disappointed. It's really what it's gonna come down to. But I gotta say why I'm disappointed, so they can maybe improve for next season. I'm not quite off board with watching next season, so...
Welcome, Maria.
So, we'll see. But why don't you go ahead, Corion?
Yeah, so, this episode is a blatant ripoff of Aliens.
Shout out to Maria with T and Telly in the chat.
Hey.
Listening in right now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Corion.
So, Yeah, I mean, look, it's a blatant ripoff of the movie.
Real
Alien.
quick though. Shout out to Maria with Tia Telly. Thank you for joining the chat. Real glad you're here.
So,
Hi.
so I just also want to say, before I go too deep in, shout out to Maria from Tea and Telly.
Oh yes, agree. Shout out
You know,
Maria.
I mean,
Tia Telly, welcome.
you can't go without that.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think there's enough praise that you could really give somebody like that, and I'm really excited to see more of her Zen Buddhism type shows where she tries to help people. That's really awesome. That's amazing that you're putting yourself out there like that. Eventually, we'd like to have a philosophy show, whether it's going to be head up by Corione or myself or whatever. We're still figuring out the internals and scheduling for that, but you're doing it now. Keep it up. I really liked what I saw today, even though it was maybe 20 minutes, and I definitely want to join in for more of that type of stuff, because the world needs more people that are out there that are wanting to help other people, not necessarily for money, but of course, we do need to pay our bills and keep our lights on and our air conditions cold. So,
that being said, Maria, if you can find a rabbi, you, me, and the rabbi need to do a show together, because it'll just be a great punchline regardless of what happens.
That's a joke waiting to happen. I agree.
The show just has to be called A Rabbi, a Witch, and a Buddhist.
Right? It'll
and
work.
It's just ... at the episode line for every episode.
Well, and I mean, with her extravagant outfit that she was wearing today, you could even just call it, the rabbi, the witch, and the wardrobe. But
ooh, I like that one too.
I know.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So, hey guys, I'm a writer. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. All right.
Strange
so getting
News
back to
sucks.
the actual meat of this.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was a blatant. Yeah. So it was a blatant ripoff of the movie Alien. Yeah. Like, the only thing we didn't have is people coming out of cryo. That's really all it was missing. And even then, the casing at the end
in cryo when we encountered the start.
Right.
They're all frozen on the frozen planet.
Yeah, so there we go, right? It's they decided that for some reason the arguably one of the best characters that Strange New Worlds actually gave us, an engineer that actually felt like a cranky engineer, they decided to get rid of him either because, he was just too cool for this show or, I guess like they actually figured out he was worth the money they were paying for him. So that had to stop right then.
Yeah,
and
no, we can't have good characters. That would make us a better Star Trek show, and we don't want to
Our
eclipse.
Fans
We don't
want
to eclipse Mikey
they're
Burnham.
falling in love with a fake species, so
right. So then, and they've decided to cast the role of Alien as the Gorn, even though it hunts like a predator. So the fact that this species hasn't just like thrown its young at planets and taken over the entire universe is somehow beyond me. But literally a probe with a couple of these babies going to each planet in the galaxy would have the entire planet speaking Gorn, or the entire galaxy speaking Gorn in about 5 minutes.
Except that they kill each other, though. So they decide who the alpha is, and then there's like a power struggle because, we need the plot to happen in this specific way. This is an example of shit, right?
It's a great video game. It's a really fun video game. Save your team before all of them are either impregnated or eaten.
Yeah, I mean, like...
It's also a great idea for a standalone sci-fi movie.
Right?
Named Alien.
Yeah, but... This is just like, this was ridiculous. This was completely unnecessary. By the end of it, we've lost 2 characters, one of which was really decent. The other one, had some problems, but we were actually getting some depth out of, which again, now the only character that we have any character depth for really is Lahura. And even then, I don't know. I feel like, after I saw her emerge from like the room under the space stairs, Harry Potter style, I wasn't super interested. At least, we got to see another Federation ship, which once again has massive hallways and huge rooms. They just filled it with random junk this time.
Yeah, I also like, someone pointed out how it's sitting very crookedly, right? And the bridge is like, you know, just slightly tilt. And I also like how they borrow the DS9 logic, because remember, it's Terok Nor if it's tilted. It's not the Enterprise because it's tilted.
Right? There's just, and the problem is, the more you look at this episode, the more horrible things you find. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you know, you see suck, and then you like zoom in, and there's more suck, and then you zoom in even further, and there's even more suck.
There's a suck sitting on the suck of the suck of the suck of the bottom of the suck.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that this got past anyone in the writer's room. Like, I really hope the writers of this episode use aliases for everything, because, man, if you put that on a resume, goodbye.
Oh no, they did the exact opposite, Corion. They actually came out and decided to justify the retcon. Like, they have an excuse for it, which, okay, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing, CBS, Paramount, whatever the hell you are now. Just one throwaway line. Actually, no, not a throwaway line. Just give us some kind of excuse, some kind of explanation that this is its own timeline, and I'll be a little bit more patient with it again. But until we have it on screen and it's canonized with this garbage, that this is its own timeline, until that is formally set, this show is just, it's I don't like it anymore. And I'm sad, because I really thought we had a strong start with episode 1. I thought the follow-on episodes were doing okay and doing what they're supposed to. And then all of a sudden, after episode 6, or around episode 6, they decided, no, let's just eat the whole cookie jar. Let's write like we're a season 2 show now. Like, this whole thing with Hemmer would have been fine if this was season 2, episode 8. Okay, this would have been a better time, would have had more time to develop Hemmer, would have had more time to get attached to Hemmer, and we would have had a proper send-off.
More trust in you to replace Hemmer with somebody equally as lovable.
Yeah, that's probably
not that's the
or
problem.
Maybe they're
going
to bring Scotty in early now.
No, but see, you can't, that's like recovering from your mistake by adding another mistake.
Just bring in another plot armor character, yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, if they bring in like young Scotty to this, I'm going to be annoyed, because, you know, you haven't earned Scotty yet, right? You know, you haven't, and we can do more by not going back to the well. Like, you know, you gave us an engineer that we liked, that we enjoyed having, right?
That the doctor never met.
Right. I mean, the doctor took a little while to grow on me. I'll admit it.
I still like
me a little bit,
but yeah. Even that storyline they screwed up.
Right, but I mean, it did take me a little while to get to the point where I was kind of like enjoying Mbenga, right? Like, I think when I started enjoying him was when I saw him with the fly fishing hat, because it was just like a random enough thing that he was into fly fishing that I'm like, okay, you put 5 minutes of homework into this character, I'm down with that, right? I mean, like, the only way it could have been better is if instead of fly fishing, it was golf, and somebody made a crack about all doctors and golf, and what the hell is that, right? That would have been good.
Ancient pastime on it. I can't do Mbenga's accent, but I tried out of love.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that's what drove me nuts.
Yeah, and honestly, even after watching this episode, the more I thought about it, the more I stewed on it, it got worse and worse and worse for me, to the point where I'm like, and now I've seen the promos for this week's episode, and I'm like, I'm already disenfranchised. So whether or not I even come back for season 2 is still up in the air, and I'll give this show the fair shake that I feel we've been giving it. But the patience well is dried up for me. We have gone to one strange new world, and even then, it wasn't really that whole different from Earth. And so, while technically we've gone to this one strange new world, the show is Strange New Worlds. This has just been strange, stupid rehash. That's all this show has been. Strange, stupid retcon is probably a better show title right now, because that's all they're doing is and then they're stealing from aliens, and
it's not.
Where's the originality?
Well, yeah, it's not that it's stealing. It's that they're like, well, we own the IP, and we have never tested these writers on anything except for Halo.
Is that writing the photocopy?
And the fan base is borderline guaranteed. Like everybody tried or was willing to try Discovery until things started, pushing people away.
I was one such idiot that made it through season 2 before I quit.
Right. So like there no experience, no education, no understanding of the fandom, and like this is the most frustrating thing is the studio is legitimately attacking the fans. Like the fans are the problem, even though the fans are the only reason Star Trek survived. It was a horribly filmed, horribly cramped, random idea that was supposed to die at its inception, and instead had spin-off after spin-off till today. We're still spinning it off, and the only people that are coming back for episode 1 of new season anything is the fans.
The show's just circling back to the same crap.
Well, and it's not even circling back. It's literally just rewriting it. It's just like, you remember that one episode in that one series that we liked? I think I can write the exact same thing.
Yeah, like, I don't understand why Star Trek, which was, arguably, like, the 90s Yankees suddenly became the Chicago Cubs. Right? Like, I don't get how you do that. I don't get how you turn it into, like, the team that, like, despite losing all the time, is suddenly now, like, has hanger-on fans because they're hoping against hope that you'll pull a miracle out of somewhere, right? That somewhere there's some writer you can squeeze a Measure of a Man or a Balance of Terror or, or in the Pale Moonlight out of. But, I mean, guys, you gotta come out of the gate with something better than this.
This is just...
You gotta...
Guys, stop pretending like it's hard. You already have a perfectly realized, wholly developed society, system, structure, like everything world building that makes writing hard. Yours is already done.
Yeah, like...
Skip ahead to the next part. Now let's just do character development. That's all you need to practice. That's all you need to focus on, as long as you abide by the laws of the land that were already proven for decades of success.
Yeah, like, I mean, the formula for a Star Trek episode is not particularly difficult. You literally pull out a newspaper or a news source, go back 2 weeks from when you're writing, pick the topic, and just make it hyper extended, and that's the alien culture that they're visiting. And then you play out the moral and ethical ramifications of it.
Read a book.
Yeah.
And then now try to write it into the universe according to the universe.
So
read a short story.
I'm getting ready to work a little bit behind the scenes, and there's a certain way I've got to set it up. I just want to make sure. Was there anything that we liked about this episode by chance?
Okay.
I like the theme song.
I like that I forgot it.
I will say this, though. There were a couple of things that I did actually like. And most of them revolve around Hemmer. Because first we got to see Hemmer as counselor on the ship, which I thought was adorable. Because the cranky engineer being the one that's the most spiritual of the team is a really great idea.
Quick, Corio, we do have some fan mail from Citizen Wayne. They need more character development. At this point, I would think the hardest part is to not make each episode feel like a redo of some prior episode. Yeah. Yes, and you know what, Citizen Wayne, I'm actually going to finish this segment off with a nice rant about it here, but I'm going to let Corion finish his thought while I do a little magic behind the scenes to set up for our next segment.
Okay, so, Hemmer being, like, ship dad, I thought was pretty adorable. I do like that they continued to make sure Hemmer was a pacifist the whole way through.
Yeah.
He literally said at the, like, one of his last lines before we know he's done goes along the lines of, I won't kill them, but I will protect my people.
Yeah.
And that is a wonderful thing for him to go out on in terms of ethics and morality there.
And, Citizen Wayne writes, aliens versus predators. No, aliens and predators combined. 100%, yes, we agree with you on that. Absolutely.
Yep.
So,
there was one last one, and that is Spock actually being able to reach in and pull out his rage there was a decent idea.
It
wasn't
executed.
yeah, it was sloppily executed, and he should have the mental focus and fortitude to be able to rein it back in.
Yeah.
After the event.
Yeah, you want to
but the
take a
initial
time
concept,
to show his spiritualism. Just meditate for a second. Like you see
Yeah.
him do all this rage, and then the nurse goes to bug him, and he's like, "Stop!" And then he goes back into his chanting until he's back to normal. He's like, "Sorry, I needed to fix myself."
Right, like at the
Yeah.
end of the Attack of the Clones fight, where Yoda picks up his walking stick and goes back to hobbling again, something like that.
That's it.
Is exactly what we need. Instead, it's. See, so honestly, this episode I pretty much blame on Game of Thrones, not directly, just in the fact that it got so popular with the formula of, oh, let's build up this character, let's kill them off, oh, isn't that shocking, and then we're gonna rinse and repeat for 8 seasons, and it'll never get tired. Here's the problem, Strange New Worlds. I don't even know if writer is a title you deserve, because you can't write, you just copy homework.
Scribble.
This is the reason why it worked for Game of Thrones. One, it's Game of Thrones, okay? Star Trek is not Game of Thrones. Star Trek will never be Game of Thrones. So stop trying to be Game of Thrones. And this goes for every series out there. Stop trying to be Game of Thrones. I'm sick of it. It's boring, it's stupid, it's tried, it's over. The thing that worked for Game of Thrones was the fact that we had 9 episodes to get to know Ned Stark. He was the focal point of the episode. Hemmer, we've maybe had 3, maybe 4 episodes he's been in. We don't really know this guy. So, I didn't feel anything except contempt for this show when he sacrificed himself. Because while that is the noble thing to do, and one could argue, yeah, in real life that might happen, stuff happens. I'm sorry. We have technology on this ship to allow an open flame in the captain's quarters, but we can't extract the Gorn eggs out of Hemmer? Bullshit. Bullshit. I'm gonna see how episode 10 pans out, but I don't even know if we'll waste time with it on this show. We'll see, because I really tried. And I've been patient with these shows, and I was patient with Kenobi, and I'm trying to be patient and objective about this stuff, and I'm gonna keep trying to be better about it. However, you're on thin ice. Like, I've heard that Star Trek Picard season 3 is moving away from season 1 and 2. I'm still not sure I care enough to give it a shot.
Well,
and this,
so it's not thin ice. I think your outrage is 100% founded, because it's not like whoever Gene Roddenberry sent the rights to on his way out the door, and they're finally taking the time to try again to revitalize his image. No, this is a multi-billion-dollar production house producing sub-$1,000 stuff.
Yep.
Like, they deserve to be raged on because they were so confident in their ability to, put this on a locked platform that costs $7 to $8 a month that you have to spend every month to watch each episode as it releases, so they get a little extra money to then
produce garbage.
Like, if this show was rated R, I would visually describe what they're doing to my mental body, and I'll leave it to other writers to explain to these writers.
There's a
where
South
that's
Park
going.
episode for that. The Indiana Jones South Park is where you're going, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, that's all we need to say on that. Got another some more fan mail from Citizen Wayne. Did you guys happen to watch Kurtzman on Will Wheaton's after show? He comes off to me as a mass marketer more than somebody who cares about the spirit of Trek, one man's opinion. Yes.
I didn't see it.
I think if I understand what you're saying, I'm a little confused, Citizen Wayne. I think you're saying that he only gives a shit about making money, which is laughable because they're trash-talking fans who give them money in the first place. And that he's not focused on the spirit of Star Trek, which if that's what you're saying, I 100% agree with you.
Or if you're saying that Kurtzman thinks that he is a mass marketer, he forgot the number one part of mass marketing, which is know your audience.
And this is the other thing.
The book
and I want to expand on that too, because I've seen some Star Trek fans, a lot of Star Trek fans, on both sides of the political aisle, behaving very much not like Star Trek fans. Okay, here's what Star Trek comes down to, kids. Inclusion. Tolerance. That is Star Trek. Now, You want to say, well, we don't include racists. Okay, here's the reality, we don't include racists. Okay, here's the reality, you dumb fucks. Gene Roddenberry tolerated and put up with racists, sexists, and homophobes. If he didn't deal with them, there would be no fucking Star Trek.
That's true.
Now, does that mean that I condone those idiots in Hollywood that came before him that he had to put up with? Of course not. Those assholes were pieces of shit and they will be forgotten for good reason.
That's 4.
But that said, you need to be better. And I don't care what your political beliefs are. If you believe in Star Trek, you believe in exhausting all forms of diplomacy. And saying 5 words on fucking Twitter does not count.
5.
That is not discourse. Discourse is listening to the other side. Discourse is listening to other people. The Writer Brothers, we are about restoring respect into discourse. So if you want to come on this show and you want to talk about it and we want to have an honest discussion and debate, good. We'll listen. We're going to hear each other out. And if we don't agree at the end of the day, that's fine. Because the only thing we need to agree on is to respect each other's right to live and to have opinions. That is Star Trek. If you don't do any of that, if you just block people on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, any social media, that is not what Gene Roddenberry taught you. That is not what Gene Roddenberry stands for. Gene Roddenberry has his own opinions, but ultimately, his goal was to find the best in even the worst of us. That is what I've always believed as a Star Trek fan.
Diplomacy at all costs means that you know what you're doing is correct. And if given enough time, you can turn anybody to your side. So if that's what we take Star Trek and that's what we take the Federation to represent, is just diplomacy. Let's talk until they understand why they're wrong. And we fix it because, we're super advanced and we've made it this far, right?
And you also have to be open to the fact...
Even if your ideals are super biased towards one slant or the other, and make no mistake, Gene Roddenberry was very biased. He 100% believed in the civil rights movement. Hence why he told all of CBS to go F themselves
NBC.
When he put on Lieutenant Uhura on his cast. And that's the spirit all Trek fans are born in, is you tell people that are stupid how stupid they are by proving your point right, not
just by
making them bad, not by
Exactly.
criminalizing them, not by hating on them, not by hurting their feelings even, just by showing why you're right.
I know we're getting really emotional with this one, and I just want to point out, Corione puts himself out there as witch in residence, okay? He's not expecting you to accept his faith and his beliefs. He just wants you to accept who he is. At least I think so. I'll let him speak for himself. I'll stop. I'll stop Jesus splaining or whatever the term would be for that.
You know what?
Witch
It's all
splaining.
good, man. Yeah, there you go. Look, here's where I'm at. Okay, the Federation, which is kind of the core of Star Trek, is designed at its core to be this utopian idea where everybody is capable of getting along, and people don't have to struggle to have their needs met. That's a goal for us, but it was an idea of what happens when we hit that. What can we do to better the universe when we hit that? And what would we look like as a people if suddenly all our needs were met, right? If we had a magic slot in the wall that can produce what we need to get through the day, or systems are designed that way. And if we got there by working with other people, wouldn't we share that with everyone else, saying, hey, we have all this cool stuff that we're willing to share so long as you agree to some principles about how we share it, right? That's really what the Federation at its core is more or less about, is we have cool stuff. We want you guys to have cool stuff, but we have some rules about how we share our cool
Right.
stuff.
We're not going to give 5-year-olds phasers.
Right. So, but other than that, you're allowed to
that was
do
kind
and
of-
be what you want,
Yes.
right? And
that was part of the implication, was that they already did try to give 5-year-olds lasers and they learned from it.
right. And the thing of it
Good
is, the modern, Kurtzman totally didn't get that message. He totally did not get that the problems inside the Federation have basically been solved, right? That, you know, if we were living there, you know, Petey could have his own ship, travel around if he wanted to, right? John could have his own farm somewhere, right? I could start my own little hippie commune on some little moon in the middle of nowhere if I wanted.
That I'll come and bombard
right?
because I feel like it.
Well, you know, whatever, right? You know, chances are you'd probably bombard it with like
Bombard
party
it with
favors,
love.
But not to
But-
mention that like the farms they're growing, even they're not for food.
No,
Like
they're for fun.
Picard's brother, it's a wine farm so that he can, you know, get
drunk.
back to the old roots. But he's not also got corn growing in the background. He never talks about it.
No, I
You know?
mean, like, you want to bet that there's like a bunch of guys that kind of got together and was like, you know, they were like in high school or whatever and said, dude, what, you know what would be cool? We should grow the stuff to make whiskey and just make whiskey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like the 5 of them got together, made some proposal, and bam, they're whiskey farmers now, right? Like, you know, that's the kind of stuff that would happen in this universe. And, you know, and they get along because they're not fighting over who makes more money because it doesn't matter, right? Like if they were having an argument over who makes more money, it would be like arguing over a game of Monopoly. Like they you know, they've grown out of it, right? And that's the point. And that's what Kurtzman forgets about Trek. I feel like that's what Will Wheaton forgets about Trek. I don't like Will Wheaton anymore. I did like him when he was just talking about board games and the things he enjoyed about it, but he went really political. And when he did that, he lost me because even if I share some of his political feelings, politics is like male genitalia. It's great to have it, but when you shove it down somebody's throat, that becomes a problem unless they consent to it. And that's what Will Wheaton has done.
Fan mail from Citizen Wayne says he agrees with you, pretty much. I'm summarizing, and that's just it. You know, it's not about having what political views. You shouldn't even. The thing is, politics is a fickle mistress. You make friendships and break them because of politics, you're gonna find yourself in a very lonely corner, and you're gonna find yourself with a group of people that are only gonna care about you until either the cause is fulfilled or they find out you said the bundle of sticks word on Twitter 10 years ago. So it's not a stable relationship mechanic. And I'm gonna close this segment out simply by saying that I'm guilty of it too. Okay, what I got impassioned about earlier in the broadcast, I am not perfect by any means, and I have made those mistakes, and I have forgotten what it means to be a fan of Star Trek at times. And so yes, there's times where I've had blow-ups on people that I wish I could take back, and that I do try to be better on. And so that's, you know, when I say I invite people to the show, it's not going to be like, you know, some sort of Fox News nonsense where we yell at each other and then you scream you're wrong and you get off my show. I don't ever want to have that kind of discussion. In fact, I'd like it to stay like this type of pace, this type of talking, because here's the thing, guys. My opinions don't write the world. My opinions aren't absolute, and if I have wrong opinions on stuff, then we need to talk through them. But that's a two-way street, though. You have to come from it from a place of willing to accept that, you know what, it's okay to be wrong, and I might be wrong on things. I can be wrong, and I'm okay with that. That is what it is. It's part of being human. So, finally, Citizen Wade says, I just find him insincere. I don't even pay attention to his politics. And that's, you know, and that's a deeper core issue about the man's character. And that could be said for all of us. You know, it doesn't matter what your politics are. It also depends on, okay, are you saying politics to just say it to get along? Or what are your convictions? It's really what it comes down to. But we're going to move on from Star Trek. I'm sure we'll have enough to discuss about it next week. I'm already going to put out a video probably this week about how not to write a first season. It's a good example. Transitioning to greener pastures, the Orville. Let's just bask 1 second in its
First,
I already transitioned.
I see what you did there. That was an excellent job. I applaud you and I celebrate you. But I see what you did there.
Sorry, I thought you said I got one thing left, so I misheard you. My bad. But
no.
What are you saying? I did.
Let's transition to.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Button.
Yeah.
The Orville continues to come in strong. It is the Star Trek. Speaking of Star Trek, that's actually Star Trek and nuanced and really well written. This week's episode of the Orville really just after the previous week's last week's episode. Sorry, it gets confusing being a Tuesday show now. I apologize. So, the previous episode, which was episode 5, Tale of Two Tapas. Honestly, guys, episode 1 and 2 of the Orville, season 1, I watched them like, all right, I can see where this goes. When we hit episode 3, which is where the issue that this episode talks about came up, that was the moment that the show won me. That was when it went from, oh yeah, this is just, Family Guy in space, fun entertainment, to, oh wow, thought-provoking, and I really have to actually think about this stuff. Because it doesn't address the whole transgender topic directly, it just kind of took it and created a scenario that was just something to think about, and very thought-provoking. The best line in the show, in my opinion, and obviously they still kept true to it, was when at the very end when Bortus gives young Toppa the Rudolph and says, "We will love Toppa regardless." That's just Bortus's father figure of the year in sci-fi, in my opinion. I think he's take the cake. And Benga was coming close, but he got released of his responsibilities, so he doesn't count anymore. And the old man is definitely suspect. But right now, Bortus is probably the strongest, probably one of the strongest male protagonists on modern shows, and he just shines through this episode, and everyone does, even Clyden, the actor who played Clyden. Well done, excellent performance. Sorry you got to be hated so much. You are doing a great job.
I hate Clyden more than I have at any point in this show, and it is only because the actor acts with such passion that it feels like the actor truly believes everything they're saying in context of the show, in the setting, in not even in a, like, you don't hate him because he's trapped in a world he doesn't understand with people that don't understand him. It's that he's the only person unwilling to try. And every single time he feels like his religious conviction matters, he is like, he gets attacked by the ship, but like the ship doesn't attack him in a normal sense. They go, "We would like to talk to you about your feelings and stuff like that." And he's like, "I don't want to talk about my feelings. They are."
Yeah, like, honestly, this is a textbook example of loving the player but hating the game, right? Because this is an actor who, it's hard to play the bad guy, and this is an actor that did an amazing job. Like,
yeah, and to add to your point real quick, Corio, Louise Fletcher, who played Kai Wynn in Deep Space Nine, she even got death threats in the because that's how good she was, and that's But she is apparently just one of the greatest people to ever sit down and have a conversation with.
From what I've been told, she's sweet as cherry pie, but played an amazing space Karen.
Probably the best villain in Star Trek, in my opinion. It's between her and Gul Dukat, but
yeah, no, Gul Dukat takes the cake, man.
Okay.
Gul Dukat is
maybe they would have to split the trophy though, because they're so bad and they're okay. We're getting into it. So back to Orville.
Orville. Okay, so
this is going to be a DS9 show here, real quick.
So Orville, listen. I would also give serious props to everybody who was involved in the Isaac playing doctor scene, because that is a scene that could have been played terribly by any other cast, but having Isaac standing there and just flat out being, "No, you will not harm this child any further, and I will resist this, and you will not hurt this kid," was a show of, for an unfeeling android, there was a lot of love and a lot of fatherly protection there. So while I definitely agree Bortus gets Father of the Year, the runner-up is Isaac.
Godfather of the Year.
Godfather of the Year?
That's
yeah,
the funniest thing.
Because he's the godfather to Claire's kids, too.
I didn't see Isaac as a father figure in that moment. I saw him as the truest form of a doctor.
Yeah?
You are 100% wrong, Patience Parent. And as much as you and your beliefs are gonna try to motivate you to do something that I know is wrong, I'm bigger, better, and I won't humiliate you for it. I'm just going to end it, and you're gonna lose because I'm a Kalon killing machine, right? And that, but like that, to me, he felt like what a professional is supposed to be in a situation where a parent and a child are concerned. If you know for a fact the parent is wrong, stand hard, and stand correct, and that's how you're supposed to do it.
And he 100% knew that he was saving a life here, right? And it wasn't that it was, you know, a threat of, you know, some monster of the week trying to kill this kid. It was, if they didn't do something to help this kid was going to die. The kid would find a way.
And that was such a great part of the show, is they took the time that he literally was like, I'm reporting that I heard suicidal thoughts coming from a child, and I'm only reporting it because I'm required to. I'm an unfeeling robot. I don't know how important this person is to anybody, but I'm required to report this conversation type. And that, again, just pure professional. Like, he did everything by the numbers, and that's why the numbers exist. If you talk, when you think you hear somebody talking about suicide to somebody who can do something about it, you might save a life.
Yeah. I think that's also a takeaway that, you know, everybody in the audience should take away too. Look, if you hear somebody having those kind of dark thoughts, make sure they get help. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please. Okay? I'm asking. Please do that. Right?
Personal request.
You know, try to put some kind of care into it. Handing someone a card for the suicide hotline, it's
impersonal.
You've got to hand them the card. You got to say, look, I want to try and help you through this. These guys, they're going to be better suited to handle your situation because I got my own bills to pay. But I mean, that's.
I think that's a misconception about the suicide hotline, and I get it because it is a phone number. But everything I've experienced with people that work at the suicide hotline, they are the friend you're looking for when you're in that hardest time. If you want somebody that wants to talk you out of a problem, they're the ones that will talk to you the way you want to be talked to. They even receive texts. Like, if you're like me and you hate phone calls, but you want to text somebody about your emotional issues, they're the people that will do it. And they're not going to judge you. They're not going to chase you down. They're not going to even get to know you past the conversation unless you keep calling back. And that's something everybody.
Yeah, see, Corion was getting a call from him right now.
Yeah, I'm getting calls like that right now. Yeah.
Now, but that's my point, John, and that's why I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what I wanted you to say, was because it's you want to make sure, you know, if you do care, you got to make it sound like you care. And they do. They absolutely do. They're coached, not just coached to and trained to it. Sure, that's their job, but at the same time, they don't go into a job like that. Someone does not pick up a profession like that, scrolling through Indeed going, talk people out of suicide. Yeah, I might need that for myself. They're actually genuine. They give a shit. They actually want to help, because that's their life calling. As for the coaching part,
their coaching is more on what not to say. Like,
they don't want
to take you down a path. Well, they don't want you to take you down a path towards the goal that you are trying to prevent, right? So if you think they're coached and that, like, they just know how to say the empathetic line, it's like, no, these are people that get skilled.
Just need 5 magic words and I can get them to buy the extended warranty.
It's not that kind of coaching. It is coaching in terms of what to never say to a person who calls a suicide hotline.
Yeah, and I just realized how my sort of joke ended up being extremely morbidly appropriate. Because that's basically what they're trying to get you to do, is buy the extended warranty on life. And you know what? You should. I've lost too many friends to suicide, and I hate it.
And that's why I'm such a champion for the suicide hotline, because I've actually had friends saved by it.
Yeah. And you have more account for that than I do.
And I will say this, even if the hotline isn't necessarily your thing, look, there are other professionals out there. I don't know a spiritual leader in existence that, even if you're not particularly a believer in their faith, won't sit and listen and talk to you and try to help you out of a situation. It doesn't, speaking as somebody in that field, it doesn't matter to us what you believe in at that point. You're in crisis. You
Your
need
life
help,
matters.
and that's what we do. Okay, so anytime, reach out now.
And we mean that from the bottom of our heart. Your life matters.
Yeah, and
Yep.
you know what? I'm going to reiterate what I said on the July 4th special because I think it's related here. You know, the decision to declare independence came down to John Adams, who was pushing for it, and then John Hancock being the deciding vote in a tiebreak. Two people are the whole reason that we're even able to do this show right now. So if you think you're that instant, you're not. You can make a world of difference in your existence, whatever that may be. You matter. And we do care about your life. You know, all life is sacred. Some life is tasty and sacred. But in retrospect, all life is sacred. And we do try to give it. Yeah, we're making jokes, but some of us are coping. So back to the Orville, which does do a great job of dealing with this stuff. Like I said, episode 1 I felt came on a little too strong for this very reason. But
you know what though? If we were sitting there in the writer's room and we knew we wanted to do this episode, laying the groundwork in episode 1 really does make sense.
I am convinced.
So, yeah, so the fact that they put this together the way they did, kudos. Also, dude, the fact that the entire ship realized the situation and got together and basically tried to create a smokescreen for everybody involved. You know, that shows a community pulling together, which happens, right? I mean, can you think of a better example of, you know, North American culture at all than somebody's in trouble, we hear about it, we all do what we can to do it, even if it is just agreeing to go to a concert to listen to, you know, an alien sing human songs, right? Like, we do that in a heartbeat, right?
I still want My Heart Will Go On, Bortus. My heart will go on wanting to hear My Heart Will Go On.
You see, I want him to do something. You know what I want him to do? I want him to do Can't Touch This. That's what I want.
You can do that too.
MC
I want
Escher
MC
garb.
Yeah. Like, I want him in MC Hammer parachute pants doing...
MC Hammer, right.
Yeah. Doing Can't Touch This. Like,
Well, Toppa
you
can
know,
do this song Can't Change This now.
right? You know, I mean, now granted, having Bortus sing It's Raining Men would also be amazing.
Inappropriate!
Wouldn't it? Like, wouldn't it just be the greatest thing ever? Like,
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. I actually like this song. It works for my culture. I think this is going to be our new national anthem.
Okay, you realize, Petey, you've just made the highlight reel with that one. Like, when we do like a year in review, that's going on.
Well, you know, since I quit smoking not 7 years ago, I smoked for 7 years. I quit in 2018. I've noticed that my singing voice actually isn't as crappy as it used to be.
Yeah.
I've probably exhausted all swear words for the next year for this show.
Ah, well. But, you know, and I mean, the fact that we had an alien culture, like, we actually did visit a strange new world, you know, that had a very Indiana Jones-ish Temple of Doom.
I was so frustrated that was the background to this episode, because those are my favorite stories right now. Ancient Aliens, that kind of stuff. I just love. Yeah, it's my favorite meme. That dude is so funny looking, and that meme.
Yeah, you know, I saw the meme before I actually heard the guy speak, and I was so
never
thrown off
actually
by
heard him speak. Yeah.
Oh, no,
I've only
dude.
ever seen the meme.
Dude, you've got to sit down and watch a couple of episodes with this guy. Like, the show, the fact that it's on History and not the Comedy Network, I'll never understand.
Well,
right?
I
But-
gotta give credit. He is well-spoken, and he does pose a lot of good thought-provoking theories. Like, he's not out there trying to sell you his merchandise. He's actually invested in this stuff. It's his lifestyle. Like, he doesn't just have Ancient Aliens. He's got his own other shows and stuff that he hosts. So
I know, but at some point you and I
mean,
will
you're
have
not
to have
wrong.
the Ancient Alien debate, because this is... There are so many great, like, simple things I can point to where I'm like, what the hell? But anyway, yeah, I love that the B plot is the Temple of Doom. Right? you know, and it was played for humor too, right? And I thought that was great. I actually
The Isaac cheat code, isn't that every freaking player of Tomb Raider's dream?
right
Is to be able to just stand on the trap and not care.
and tank it, yeah, right. Like there were some great moments there, and the fact that, like I said, that was the B plot. Like they really packed this episode in, and I love the idea that we have a character that is going to be our I don't know, our academy student POV character going forward.
Yeah.
Because
I
at the end of the day,
I-
we don't actually know a lot about the inner structure of how the Union works. We're all like headcanoning it that it's very similar to the Federation, but we don't know for certain. So it's a potential interesting journey we could go on.
Yeah, how nice
Having
how nice would it be to have admiral plots where the admiral isn't, you know, super evil and has nefarious purposes? That they're all genuinely good at their job.
well, we had that
See, that
last
was the-
episode where
Well,
we
yeah,
had
we just had
competent
that with the-
admirals.
Well,
I
no,
know.
we just had it with the admiral on this ship, where she
Yeah.
legitimately is like, you broke all of the rules correctly.
Yeah.
You did it exactly the only way you could have done it, and I'm glad I was so specific on the part about Union officer.
Yeah.
You
Well-
found the loophole.
Yeah, like, you know, she had to yell. Like, I am sure she was ordered to discipline the captain and the first officer, and
that's
so she
the
gave
part.
them a well, I'm willing to bet it was like she gave them a right proper, you know, stern talking to, because she was probably ordered to.
That's the thing, though. That's what I don't think about it. Like, she was such a good admiral, because every admiral knows that even when your troops break rank correctly, you need to reprimand them.
Yep.
And that's what she did. It felt like it was her job to do it, but she also took the time to go and tell Miss Topa, I wish her all the best.
Yep.
Like, I feel like the talking to is just Admiral's job. She knew she had to do it no matter what, but she took the time to add that piece in there because she knew that they did the right thing, but she could never say it per her rank.
Yep.
And so that's why that was more of the motivation to go chew him out, was like, you need to be chewed out, but I also need to tell you thank you.
Exactly. Like,
Don't
it was,
do it again. Amazing, by the way. You're great.
exactly, like that's basically what it was, right? Was I'm, you know, so that when I report into, you know, the head of the Union, when he asks, you know, did you discipline them, she can 100% say, oh yeah, they got the message, right? Without, you know, so she's not breaking the rules either, right? Everybody got their appropriate level of you know, dressing down. But let's be honest, if that admiral had truly wanted to, you know, to discipline them properly, they would have been, you know, promoted to some ice planet in the middle of freaking nowhere, right? That's not what happened here, you know? Like they weren't sent to Slough House, you know? Like, it was just the you know, the official enough, you know, chewing out,
Well,
that they can continue on, but everybody knows exactly where they stand.
just based off of like canon, even from the episode, like the trial, they were able to pull it up in the holodeck. So part of me thinks that like she's not going to have to report to the Union officer, but the Union officer can double check to see if she did properly reprimand them. And he, you know, pulls out the holodeck and goes, yep, she said everything exactly as the book tells her to. And it's like, it's not necessarily that it's gonna happen or we will ever see it happen. It's just that like there is enough canon to show us that like when there's 3 in a room, there's a recording.
Yeah.
Even when there's 1 in most cases.
Right? I mean, and you know, we could even, you know, accurately guess that, you know, everything that happens on a ship is probably recorded somewhere, right? We can probably make that guess and assume it's probably correct.
Yeah, and that would actually be a really fun thing for them to like take us through the process of the Union in terms of like their privacy laws. Because there seems to be a lot of respect for privacy, but it doesn't seem like they actually have any.
Yeah, you're bringing up one of the paradoxes of Star Trek that they don't really address. Computer, where is so-and-so? So-and-so is located here. And we at the Federation, we respect privacy. No. I don't know what you guys define as privacy exactly, but it's clearly not the definition that most modern Americans have.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine
But even
in
then, like in space or in the military, you're supposed to report into your SO, so that way that they can tell anybody that needs to know.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
that's the reason they come up with it.
I would imagine that the way it works is certain inquiries are only allowed based on either some sort of relationship or rank. I would imagine that if some ensign that's primarily responsible for cleaning out wherever wherever Yaphet goes after he goes, probably can't ask the computer where the captain is at any one time. Right? I would imagine that's probably how it works, but conversely, the captain can probably find out where anybody is when he needs to. And that's how I imagine it would probably work.
I get the vibe that it's a lot more open. I feel like the thing that with privacy is like a lot of privacy as we know it in modern times is more just about like what shameful things can I do without ever being narked on.
All right.
This show,
Late but not forgotten. Let's welcome Brandon to the show.
Brandon,
give us your quick thoughts on Orville, then we got to move on to the old man.
Orville, or the Orville episode. Oh, I liked it a lot. I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting way to touch on that topic. As far as I'm concerned, it was an interesting way to go about doing that, and I wasn't surprised by the fact that it was Bortus who gave the password. It kind of made sense to me.
I thought it was the doctor because Kelly told the doctor.
No, and that's fair.
That was good misdirection.
So I was like,
yeah,
I didn't inherently think it was him, but it wasn't like. Then again, I don't think it was supposed to be either. To be fair, but I wasn't like my mind wasn't blown when it was Bortus was like I did that. But like at the same time, I don't think it was never. I don't think it was ever supposed to be a mind blowing twist. Just a small twist that helps sink in the fact that to show what this man has stated the whole time, like from the get go, like after seeing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like of all things. He has been on the boat of like let them be them, and I really liked the clever way the Isaac's position of or what his way of dealing with the situation of like I'm not technically an officer nor am I technically the crew. I'm kind of just allowed to be here, and so I can kind of do whatever the fuck I want or whatever I want. And what's gonna happen? They dismantle me? Like no one really has jurisdiction over me. I just kind of exist, and I'm allowed to be here. Which I was kind of glad that happened because I was worried. I was like, are we about to lose the doctor? Like that's not gonna be great. Trying to think because I was thinking about the other episodes on the way home.
Oh, were you thinking about how the Orville did Strange New Worlds episode 8 better than Strange New Worlds episode 8 did Strange New Worlds episode 8?
Which one was episode 8 again?
Right, the last episode is episode 8. So
no, last one was 9.
Just did Aliens versus Predators 9. So 9, episode 9. How it did Alien versus Predators plus Predators and Aliens are the same thing, and then Orville did that 2 episodes ago, and they did it better and correctly.
Well,
and it actually made sense. Why nobody?
Better.
That's
pretty subjective.
Nobody's ever met this race,
are you talking about
and their
the
entire
Gorn?
area is black.
Are you,
Like,
you talking about that
nothing
Gorn
touching.
episode?
Yeah,
we're not.
Gorn
I'm
episode
sorry.
compared.
We've already covered the
can-
Gorn episode, so let's just please keep.
Yeah,
it Orville.
I have not.
I know.
Yeah, but let's move on because if not, we're gonna be on the.
I'm gonna rant again, and it's not gonna be pretty.
I guess. I liked
was gonna say it's
so
gonna be a
get wrecked.
6-hour show, and we're gonna be.
Hey,
rivaling,
you're allowed to like the things I don't, so it's all good.
Yeah. That's why when I saw your post earlier, I was like, oh, well, me and you have very different takes. I can see that's clear. Damn. Like, I was definitely sad
been
and
nice to have that,
frustrated with
actually.
it ending a little bit. Not
Yeah.
for quality reasons, just because that was my favorite character. Like,
That was everybody's favorite character.
yeah, it was like,
Yeah,
it was
I
that
think the
thing
show
of like,
just died with him.
I was like, it was a thing of like, I was like I appreciate what you've done as a storytelling point, but I hate you because that was my favorite character on the ship. Oh, the mixed emotions on this one. Like, but honestly, like, I was weirdly looking forward to the Star Trek episode, and I liked it. But Orville, I liked it. I thought it was interesting in a lot of ways. I'm trying to think of how to word some of that. I mean, Orville hasn't really, I wouldn't say terribly disappointed me at any point yet. I was curious, though, I will say, in regards, I forget their name, but Bortus's spouse, I was curious, Clyden, what they would do, and I feel like he is going to use this, Clyden leaving, like he has done many things in the show. He's gonna wait a while, and that's eventually gonna come back full circle. Like,
Yeah,
just
I
like
mean-
everything else he does. It's too good of a setup to not.
Yeah, like Clyden leading a group of deprogrammers seems like a thing that's
Mhm.
gonna happen.
Clyden leading, like, just this hostile group.
I see Clyden going and taking out the female leader now.
Oh, that'd
Like
be
that's
good.
like that would be the full circle, you know, like the next call we get with Clyden is them having, like, they're like going to save her because she's having an emergency distress beacon, right? And they arrive and there's Clyden sieging wherever she's at.
That could be.
That's
cool.
kind of where I see it going.
Or, you know, the other way it could go too, which I think would be also really interesting, is Clyden goes full 180.
Spirit Quest,
Realizes
because
that
Clyden
most of
hasn't been
Clyden's
alone
issues-
yet.
Most of Clyden's issues is mostly out of resentment and not understanding where it comes from.
Also, that Clyden is kind of, like, in a weird way, Clyden is kind of closeted because he had this reassignment surgery as well, right?
It's
Yeah,
not
and he
kind
was
of
forced
like,
to believe it. Like he is forced to accept that he doesn't belong in the universe without this surgery, and has spent all of his life
Believing
knowing
he was
about it.
inadequate. Yeah.
yeah.
And now, even in the time where he could have, you know, done the 180, he didn't. And now his whole family, like, they still love him, but he hates them. And like, yeah, you could really see like a spiritual journey where he goes and realizes that, like, his hatred isn't for them. It's for the fact that he knows that they would accept him the moment he's ready, and he just can't let himself be ready because
Yeah, it's
the
that
rest
self-
of his
it's
life
that
he's never
inner
been
resentment
accepted. Yeah.
of
Like-
everything.
Like, I'm thinking about, you know, because we were talking about Deep Space Nine, right? I'm thinking about that, like, weird 180 Ducat did, where he's like, you know, he was all like, you know, pro Cardassia, pro Dominion and whatnot. And then there's that shift where he has that mental break, and suddenly he's trying to be the Antichrist, right? And I'm sitting there going, like, we could totally see Clyden do a shift like that. And that would be amazing, too.
I would also say, so one thing I was curious about is when Chief Medical Doctor Lady went down to talk to Isaac, and Isaac responded with, "I didn't do it for," I forget child's name.
Topa.
Topa. Name of the episode's two Topas.
Alright, it's all good.
So one thing I saw, but it kind of surprised me was when the next line he said, I thought he was gonna go one way, and then it went like similar direction, but not quite the way I was expecting.
You 100% thought he was going to say, I did it for you.
Yeah, that's exactly where I thought that was going. 1,000%.
And you
Like-
know what? That was the subtext. Like, that was 100% the subtext of the whole
Oh
thing.
yeah.
He only
Yeah.
volunteered when she volunteered.
Yeah,
And I
because
100%
he was.
believe it was to save her career.
Yeah, because then he loses her, and that comes back around to the theory I've had for a long time of like Isaac has emotion but doesn't understand it. It would be like it's almost like if you took Spock and put him like deep down the road of the the no emotion thing, but like also if he was under the perception that his race couldn't feel emotion at all, not just that they like suppress it and try to remove it, but that just wasn't capable, and then slowly had this decline of like kind of like what we've been watching him do, but on the end of like not thinking that that's even possible, and so which changes your perspectives and reaction to things. So like that was awesome because I always weirdly liked them as a couple. Like it was just the weirdest couple that I kept shipping the hell out of. I was just like, I need this to return because it was always interesting to watch. Like I was observing Isaac observe the relationship.
That's what I find really funny because I think Seth MacFarlane figured it out and he's working on writing it out. But I think he figured out how to prove that even if we get general intelligent artificial intelligence, that it will still understand and have access to emotions. Yeah. And I think he's trying to find a way to prove that like emotion can be evaluated as like a function graph. And that's what he's demonstrating with Isaac is Isaac's taking the time to actually learn the graph.
I would also,
he's getting closer to it.
I'd also make the weird point of out of all the couples to date on that show, they are hands down the most stable couple out of everyone. Even
Most
with Isaac constantly not
other.
Yeah, even with Isaac constantly not under like faux po all the time, foot and mouth. Like, still most stable and functional relationship aboard the ship.
That's
like,
communication's easy with him. It's easy to communicate feelings. Exactly.
Yeah. See, I was thinking that was an opening for a joke about a battery-operated boyfriend, but
also fair. Fair enough.
That's a good one.
No, yeah, I liked the episode. It wasn't anything like, okay, so I shouldn't say it wasn't anything crazy because in a sense, the topic that he touched on was a pretty wild topic. Like that was bold. That was that was one of those things that would have been really easy to have go a direction that causes lots of issues, and he handled it well, I think. And it was interesting to see the way he dealt with it. Huh?
He hasn't killed the spirit of the show while dealing with this.
No,
he didn't take the time to like retcon the spirit just so that he could deal with this. Like he literally took the time to deal with it in the world according to the world that he wrote. And that just, to me, it goes to show, like, if you listen to a lot of comedians like I do, a lot of them are like, oh, comedy's dead, it's under risk and censorship and all this stuff. And it's like, no, the reality is bad writing's dead. If you can't get your point across clearly and effectively, if you can't paint an image that allows people to question their reality based off of your painting, then you did it wrong. That's it. And he's proving that you can talk about these things that are legitimately dividing our nation.
Not just our nation, but the entire world.
Oh yeah, and you know, I'm gonna say this. This is the second episode in a row that has seemed unbelievably timely on his part, especially given that he wrote them like a year or two ago.
Pre-COVID.
Right?
Remind me, just because I watched so many episodes yesterday. In fact, I kept forgetting it was 4th of July. You have no idea how much show I watched yesterday. What was the episode before last again?
Oh, that was the one where they went to the Krill homeworld.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, because that was the one that I was actually caught up on. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you know, so we've got, dude, they're being ridiculously timely. I'm now at the point where I'm serious. That was nice. Yeah. I'm actually at the point where he does a third one like this. Oh, dude, I'm gonna wonder who gave him the crystal ball.
Dude,
that's where we're at the point of, right?
That would be That would be dangerous too, because then you're in like triple threat territory of like, if this succeeds, dude, gold. If it fails, you've crumbled all of them. Like it's like,
But see,
it makes me
that's
think
what I mean
of
by
when I
good
was in
writing.
high school. Me and a girlfriend were laying there, and we like full body high-fived each other, and it was successful. So we did it again because we were half asleep and thought it was funny. Third time around, we just slapped the hell out of each other. We completely missed and slapped each other in the face, and we both laid there and we're like, we're not doing that no more.
All right,
That was
any
a bad
quick
decision.
any quick final thoughts as we got to move on?
No, yeah.
No,
I
Cover it's
really
good,
liked
and
it.
I'm looking forward to next
think-
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on now to my other favorite segment, right after the Orville, is of course the Old Man, which continues to slow burn, which is fine. I don't need fast-paced action all the time. This episode was actually, I'd say it's fairly dry overall, but I think we did a lot of character development points. Certainly an unexpected twist at the end. Did not think that was going to happen. But I'll just go around the room, guys. What do you guys? You still liking the Old Man? I still am liking the Old Man.
Well, I mean, I basically blitzed the 4 episodes of The Old Man pretty much like today. And you know, I'm digging it. I get it. It's a solid series. I feel like we're getting like a James Bond meets The Fugitive kind of thing, but like, you know, with a bunch of older dudes involved. And you know, I'm super curious to see where, you know, what the end goal of this whole thing is. And I'm also super curious to see the point behind Zoe being brought in. Right? Because, I mean, I get that we wanted to ground a couple of characters and anchor the plot a little bit, but it feels like since she's been dragged along for the ride, she's done anything but anchor anything. Right? Like,
Yeah.
She's 100% now this complete fish out of water. And, I mean, I don't know. I've seen enough shows that I'm, like, so worried she's going to wind up being, like, Jamie Lee Curtis's character in True Lies. And just, like, accidentally wind up getting it, like, into stupid situations. I'm worried about that now.
That's the kind of thing, though, that makes her make sense. Because, like, as far as getting dragged along on this journey, she's us. Like, we automatically, from episode 1, were pretty much enthralled with Jeff Bridges' exciting new life.
I'm sorry. I gotta
then-
hard disagree with
hear me
that
out,
assessment.
hear me
No,
out.
I can't. I gotta say, I'm not gonna divorce Jeff Bridges. Sorry, I can't agree with that on that character because I'm not gonna divorce Jeff Bridges. Sorry, John, I couldn't resist.
Wait,
I'm hearing wedding bells,
wait,
man.
is Zoe?
That-
Zoe?
I
I
love
thought
the
Zoe
dude.
was the new girl, the girl that just showed up, or the one in the house, not the
Yeah.
wife. The wife died of cancer,
Yeah,
so Jeff Bridges hasn't
Or no,
divorced this
the
girl
wife
yet.
No.
died of some
Did you-
mental disease.
yeah,
Yeah,
Huntington's.
she died. Huntington.
There, right?
No,
so,
I'm talking
so Jeff
about
Bridges hasn't married this
Zoe.
woman yet.
She's fake divorcing fake Jeff Bridges' alias. That's what she threatened him with at the end of the episode. Was you either include
Right.
me in your plans or I'm taking half your shit. And
Right.
that's what I was getting at. I'm not that character.
it's
I'm
fair.
not divorcing
Okay.
Jeff Bridges. That was my
So-
point. And I'm
That's fair.
sorry. It was a stupid
That's
joke
funny.
that really got
No, because I thought
out of
I totally thought that we were talking about the wife suddenly being alive,
No.
and I was like, wait, that didn't happen, did it? I don't
No.
remember that.
No, it
No,
didn't.
okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That's
No,
my
so-
bad.
No, so Zoe being dragged along in this instance, the whole like analogy I'm painting is she literally is a normie. She has been living the life she chose, and she joined the trip. He said don't. He said you can leave, but he also said like I want you there. Like that to me, like she really truly represents how stupid a lot of people are. Like a lot of people think they want to do G.I. Joe stuff until they learn what G.I. Joe stuff really is. And then they're really grateful that other people are paid to do G.I. Joe stuff. And she wholly is representing all of that in one person. And that's why I love her as a person. Like, she even her going off and doing stupid stuff. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't trust anybody that hasn't actually trained in the CIA to know what this CIA guy is about to do.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if she drops a Mac 10 down a flight of stairs and kills 20 dudes, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm fair enough. I don't know the True Lies reference
love it.
entirely, but I do see her
I
being
know
a Bumble
exactly
coward.
what he's talking about because I watched pretty much all of Arnold Schwarzenegger's repertoire way too many times. My dad at one point owned all of Arnold Schwarzenegger's repertoire, and I mean all of it.
I just wish watching Arnold Schwarzenegger would make my body turn into his.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. So I'll be honest. So last night I watched The Old Man for the first time. I got all the way,
Fresh
but
take coming in.
yeah. So I actually didn't finish the most recent episode. I got most of the way through before I had to step away because it was already almost 1 a.m. and I had to go to bed. So I have a couple thoughts. First, I will say I do like the show. And it's 1,000% a slow burn. Holy hell, it's a slow burn. At times aggravatingly slow. And I will say, in my opinion, you guys overhyped the hell out of the show for me. I like it,
Oh, sorry.
but it was way overhyped. I definitely went in it with one impression and then very quickly realized, like, oh, okay, I see where this is actually gonna go for me here. Like, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the show, but I could not, in good faith, after watching the 4 episodes, I think it's 4 episodes that I watched,
Yeah.
3.5, whatever it is, and watching Star Trek, say next week, I'd be looking more forward to that than Star Trek.
Okay.
I've actually, Star Trek is actually being a late game thing for me. I've actually like it more now than when we started. To be fair though, going into it, minimal, as far as Star Trek's concerned, Star Trek was always a thing I figured I would like, I just never sat and watched, and I am enjoying this show. So like actually sitting and watching it, I am able to actually digest the show, and I do like the Strange New Worlds. I definitely don't dislike the Old Man. Dog, you need to chill.
Well, okay, so I think personally, right? I mean, I do like The Old Man. I will disagree with something you guys said, though. Okay? Because when I specifically called out, you know, I don't know, I could buy John Lithgow being the same character as he played in Footloose. You guys were like, no. No, this is John Lithgow's character from Footloose as well. So,
See, I don't remember
confession
that
time.
character well enough
Yeah.
to...
Confession time, I've never watched Footloose, so I just...
I believe I have,
Oh,
but I
that's a
don't remember.
disappointment.
But even having said, I'm pretty positive I have, that does not mean I remember enough, or characters for that matter, to get the reference.
fair enough.
Yeah, and when I say Footloose, even though you say John Lithgow's in the original one, I still only think of the Randy Quaid John Lithgow character in the new version of Footloose.
Fair enough.
And that's why I just didn't see, like, I didn't see Randy Quaid being this John Lithgow character in The Old Man.
I
Yeah,
will say,
I do think though John Lithgow's character to me is is the most interesting of the characters we've
I
done.
actually agree with you. I don't get me wrong.
They're all good.
I love wow, I'm forgetting
Jeff Bridges.
God, Jeff Bridges' character. God, my brain.
we don't
I
even
will
know his
admit,
real
though-
name either, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say an interesting thing for me was I thought at one
Wait,
point
dude, isn't it
that-
something Lebowski?
I did at one point think I didn't see that the FBI or whatever chick being Emily, I didn't actually see that coming because after her giving the document saying Emily had hung herself years ago, at one point I started to wonder, like, is his character actually experiencing the mental decline he thought that he was worried he was, and that he is imagining having these conversations, and that this dude is way further in the deep end than we're actually realizing? Like, I was getting excited. I was like, oh, this is about to be real Inception level stuff. Like, Emily's gonna be fake, which then brings in the question: is Zoe actually a real person, or just another figment of his imagination out of his desperate need for companionship? And then they made her real, and I was like, you just ruined all the fantastic ideas I had for this show. I was like, this is about to get wild and crazy, because then you can go in the deep end of like what's real and not real at any given moment. like, John Lithgow's character is real, but like how much of the interactions you see of them are real interactions, and are we seeing things just from Lebowski's character? Like I was like this is gonna be wild, because I like those kinds of, I love that, like, just messing with everyone, the viewer. Like, I love that. And then Emily was real, and then they showed who it was, and I won't lie, I was like, oh damn. Like, I'll be honest, you got me good. I don't know if you got me because of myself though, or because of good writing, or if I just took your writing and I went with it. Like, I took off.
Well, if you take their writing and go off, that's still good writing.
That's
right?
true. That's
Because,
fair. Like, I was super stoked, and then I was a little disappointed though I will admit, it genuinely surprised me. I was like, oh shit. Like, oh, that was good. I was like, this is, oh,
So,
okay,
so-
where can we go with this?
Yeah, so Brandon, the cognitive mind games are still on the table. They've already
They are on the
seeded that
table.
possibility. It's just they might come up in a different way.
It is possible, but like, man, it would have been, especially if they just dragged out like those phone, because I was half expecting, I'm not lying, when she picked up the phone, for no one to be there. Like,
Right?
I was full blown, like, she's gonna pick it up and no one's gonna be there, and
There's
she's gonna
nobody
be
there.
even more terrified because this man who just admitted to being some sort of crazy fugitive is talking to someone on the phone, and there's no one here, and now I have to play this phone call out because I don't know where things are gonna go. Like, I was super stoked, and then it showed her, and I was like, oh, this went a different direction than I thought, but this is still a good direction. Like,
Yeah, and when
okay.
you consider that John Lithgow knows exactly who she is,
yeah,
right?
like it's,
that just adds more depth to this story.
yeah,
right?
man, it's pretty wild. Like, to me, out of all of I've watched so far, that was the best moment, hands down, for me. Was like the leading up, thinking that, and then that twist. I was like, okay, this is hands down my best moment so far. But it is, like, some of the fights I really liked that they were dragged out, showing like this is an aged man. I do appreciate that from like a fight scene choreographic standpoint of like, this man's not as young as these dudes, but he's experienced, extremely experienced. Like, I love that moment of like, who are you? God, old man. Like, like, who is this old man? Like,
Well,
his
I just
dogs.
Yeah, I love that he makes up for the fact that he's a little slower by having the dogs.
Oh, dude,
Right?
those dogs, they be putting work. Like, they be putting in so much work.
For the record, for the premiere of this show, did you know the dogs actually showed up at the premiere with Jeff Bridges?
Oh, dude,
and
Oh,
they
that's
were wearing
awesome.
they were wearing little ties. Like, it was great.
that's super dope.
not
I
know
won't
that.
lie.
That makes me
Yeah,
love this
pretty
show
awesome.
even more.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, like, that was that thing of like, I kind of went in thinking one thing, and then I watched it and I was like, okay, like, it was a bit, it was a little overhyped for me personally, but that's not to say it's a bad show. I want to make that clear. I don't think it's bad. I just was expecting a little more than what it is. It's a very slow burn. It's definitely one that I would rather. It's not a show I would want to watch episodically the way we have to. It is one that I would want to binge watch through like a movie, call it a day, and probably never watch it again. I'll be honest.
Well,
Like, that's what would happen.
yeah, I mean, like, I do want some of the answers to the questions I've got right
Yeah,
now.
Exactly.
Like, why this warlord needs them, like, wants him brought in alive.
Yep, we still
I'm-
don't know the motivation.
I'm super in the impression that it has everything to do with his wife.
Yeah,
and that, like, he wants to know where she's buried to visit him or something. Like, it's gonna be
I would-
something obnoxious like that at the end of this.
yeah, all of this will be for just like, I just want to go see her grave, and it's like,
Yeah.
why didn't you just say that? Like, you could have left a memo. Like,
Well, but I mean,
I feel like it's probably a revenge standpoint of some sort for him stealing the wife.
I feel like though,
but
but that's
could be
just
interesting.
So easy, right? Like, that's just such
Yeah.
an easy cop out.
I
Like,
am
it's
aware.
gotta be something weirder.
I bet you the reason
would prefer
Jeff
it be
is
something
afraid of
stupid.
his mental decline is because the mental decline comes from the region. And
Mhm.
this man is experiencing the disease himself, and he's waking up in the past, still hunting Jeff.
That's
that would be good.
okay.
I'd buy that.
That could be interesting. I would prefer something. I would prefer like some weird, like some ridiculous and strange reason would honestly be better for me, or like what
Dude,
John
I would
just said
prefer
could be really
that
good. But
Trust
like,
in her name, and it's the last bit of money he has left.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I have like the slow burn, but I can understand it does take a little bit, and I see your point, Brandon. This probably might have gone over better if it was one that released all at once instead of that. So, oh, it looks like I got ahead of ourselves on the scheduling. Sure, why? That's a little weird here. I mean, we talked about Star Trek. Talked about Orville. We talked about the old man. Corione, why don't you tell us about the 13th Warrior?
All right. If you guys are really down for that, let's do it.
Yeah, check the thumbnail once your video updates.
Yeah. All right. Well,
surprise, mother. I've already used enough F-bombs for the.
All right. Well, the 13th Warrior is, in my opinion, one of the best Viking movies that we have ever gotten. And probably because it's not 100% a Viking movie. At the end of the day, it's the story of a coming of age story for a man-child, for lack of a better term. Because we have the main character, Muslim dude, who fell in love with an official's wife and was promoted backwards to be the ambassador to a very far away land to get him out of the kingdom. And he's going to meet these people, and it turns out that it's this group of Vikings. And the old king has just died, and his son comes into power. And the day after his son comes into power, a call is put out by by the homeland of these people that monsters have come back and are devouring people. So the decision is made by the wise woman that 13 men of the tribe, 12 men of the tribe and one man who is not of the tribe are going to go and try to rescue these people. And it becomes this story of how this guy who really hadn't traveled out of his kingdom, who was like a professional poet and artist, not really a useful person to his people, learns how to be a good man and how to be a useful person and what brothership and fellowship really actually means. And he does it with the most unlikely of people who he shares no culture with, but he learns to. Each of these Vikings is unique and has their own character arcs throughout this whole thing and their own moments of glory, for lack of a better term. One of the things that I love about it, a man who I deeply consider my brother, he was my roommate in college.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time together.
You have a picture you can share your screen with?
I can try. Let me just see if I can bring.
Because and I'm sorry to interrupt, but this was actually the motivation was because you put out a beautiful video and a tribute to your friend, and honestly, I was like, you know what? I want to find out. I want to see this for myself. And go ahead, John.
You directly called us out in the video. You said when you do something for somebody else that matters to them, they'll do it in return. And you are somebody who is doing... Well, no, you were doing something for your friend, and now we're doing something for ours.
Oh, thank you, guys. Give me 1 second. I just want to find a picture of him by himself.
Yeah.
Usually he's buried under women, so it takes a few minutes to find.
In your video, you asked us which character you most closely identify with, and I believe it's the newly crowned king, the David Gilmour looking guy. I can't remember his name. The one who kills the mother. Yeah.
Bulleye? I will. To me, it wasn't.
Was
Bulleye,
it Redbeard?
I appreciate it.
See, because I thought it was Bovite
There-
because
I was trying to find the line. You said there was one line, and the only line that made any resonance to me was about the fighting. Don't let them see. Like, because then they have to like spend all this
Sure,
time being
though.
afraid of the unknown.
Actually, for me, it was the guy I always identified with is when they go into the caves and they've got the plate mail and everyone's having to remove their breastplates. And he's the guy who goes, "You'll have to kiss me for it." That is 100% my attitude. One. And there's a moment where he knows he's critically injured. He's not going to make it. And he stops and he goes, "I think I've run far enough. Go." Right? That willingness to sacrifice yourself for your friends.
today was a good day.
Yeah, today was a good day. That always resonated with me. Now, my friend Tony here, as I said, it was very difficult to find a picture of him not buried in women. Which, if you'll remember the blonde from the movie, is exactly that guy. And like I said, we all found the guy that we resonated with. And yeah, my brother, Tony here, I think the picture perfectly illustrates the kind of guy he was. You know, we've got a skull made of, you know, cute little white cats, and that's that's exactly his attitude.
No, that shirt is so
fantastic.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. For me, believe it or not, I actually felt that I closely related to in this movie. I actually felt I related to the 13th Warrior. There's many times, and John and Brandon, I'm sure you guys will relate to this. Fish out of water. That's in the military. You are a fish out of water every time you change your duty station. There were many times in my life where I had to meet new friends, and to, you know, I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised at that line, because the line that stuck out to me was the one where he finally learns their language and starts talking. He's like, "How did you figure out our language?" He goes, "I listened." Such a poignant, powerful point to just make, and when he says that, and so that's, and honestly, you know, I'm glad that we got to watch this, because this was an awesome movie, and I thought it was a great way to honor your friend here, and he sounds like somebody that I would have probably enjoyed a beer or two with, and you know, it's how we treat death is just as important as how we treat life. And I could tell that movie, you're right, when you said it in your video, it shows a bond created by people going on a similar experience, experiencing similar hardship. So it's
Yeah. Well, I think anybody who's survived any sort of military or training can definitely see the relationship there of, you know, bonding over adversity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what Boot is bonding over adversity, right? I also think that, you know, there's a lot to be said for those experiences at that right time in your life, right? Where you can experience that brotherhood, that fellowship. And that's something I think we really need these days. We really need to get back to that point of, you know, spending time with the guys, doing guy things. You know, I mean, I'm not necessarily advocating for, you know, like going and exterminating a group of people attacking another village. But, you know, I mean, if that's, you know, what's available for you guys to do on a Saturday night, I suppose, you know, that all being said though, like for us, for Tony and I, we went through some crazy levels of adversity. Everything from completely crazy ex-girlfriends to life-changing absolute madness. And we found ways to deal with it. And, you know, at the end, Tony got to that point, man. He literally got his happily ever after. 5 years before he passed, he had finally met the girl of his dreams. They got married in arguably one of the most beautiful ceremonies I've ever been in. And they were living, they literally bought a farm upstate and were living in it. So, you know, when I was saying my friend bought the farm, it was actually kind of legit. And, you know, his wife is a beekeeper, right? So, like, they had the weirdest farm going because it was like they had bees, and a group of peahens and peacocks wandered onto their farm and decided they liked it there, so they just stayed. So they were apparently raising peacocks as well. I mean, like, it was that kind of like weirdness on a farm, right?
That's weirdly a common thing here. There's some people that have a bunch of peacocks, and they're in one area of town, and I've lived over there a couple different times, and those birds can be so unpredictable. I will admit one thing, they are more capable than I would have ever imagined. There was one that would always climb up on top of one of the houses and hang up there at night. The first time I saw him, I was driving my car with the top down, and I heard a noise, and as I turned, I happened to look over, and I realized I could see the silhouette of a peacock on top of a house, and I was like, how did you even get there? Like, what?
Oh, yeah. Right? Like, but I mean, like, that's the kind of guy he was, right? I mean, he was an amazing dude. We went through so much craziness together and came out the other side. He introduced me to my wife. And I got to tell this story because I thought this was great.
Yeah,
when I was getting married, we had like a ceremony for the family, but we also did like a private ceremony on the beach. And when we were all kind of there, I was like, well, you know, I could use, you know, he was like, is there anything I can do for the wedding? And I go, well, I could use an honor guard. And I kid you not, in a cartoon poof of smoke, he just vanishes and comes back 5 seconds later with a 7-foot tall spear. Now, keeping in mind, the guy's only 5'8", so this thing's monstrous. And he's carrying it, and he's just like the proudest, you know, like regimented, like Spartan suddenly. And he's like, ready. And I'm like, okay, let's do this, right? But that's the kind of man that we had there, right? I mean, that was the kind of brother that, you know, I had, and the kind of wonderful, amazing human being he was. And recently we finally got the opportunity, because of COVID and whatnot, to do a memorial to this man, and people came out of the woodwork from everywhere because of the impact he had. And I guess the only thing I can say is the one truly amazing thing I learned from this man is don't wait. Do not wait. If you find your happiness, seize it for all you're worth and never let it go, because you don't know how long it'll last. And it's super important to grab it and own it as quickly as you can.
Yeah. Brandon, did you have a question? Or... Okay, you must have. Sorry, I just saw your arm up for a minute. I wasn't sure if you had a thought or a question.
I was scratching my head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry, everything's smaller right now, so...
No, you're good. You're good. John actually messaged me earlier asking if I had watched the 13th Warrior before, and at the time I was like I might have, and then so I pulled up images a bit ago and I realized like I have 1,000% seen this movie multiple times. Like I just hadn't like when I read the name I was like, man, the name's familiar, and then I looked it up and it was Antonio Banderas, and I was like, I've probably seen this movie, because there was a period of time where I loved that dude. And then I looked up images and I was like, oh, it's that one. Like, yeah, I know that. Like, there's a few scenes that stand out. Like, one of the scenes, unfortunately, I can't speak to who I related to most because it's been so long since I watched the film. Yeah. It's hard to, like, and my memory's garbage, even if I had recently seen the film. But the scene, there's a scene, and you'll know the scene really fast, but there's one scene in that movie that, like, I always loved. And I can remember insanely clearly because, like, even as a kid, I was able to understand, like, how impactful of a moment it was. And I want to say it's the king or the lead warrior after they have this huge fight. And he sits on that, like...
Yes.
He sits on, like, the pyre throne looking thing. And he sits there and he dies, but, like, it just looks like he's sitting as a sentinel. And it's a wild moment.
Yeah, that's so he had already been poisoned. They knew he was gonna die.
Yeah.
And he still comes out to fight the big boss of the bad guys. Beats the hell out of the dude. Marches right back to his seat, plants his sword down, and sits there like, you know, King Conan of the mountain. And everybody just flees because they're like, no, we're not fighting this dude.
No.
You know,
be a fast
like, even
dog.
even on a, he seems even more badass with the flu kind of thing. We're getting out of here. And, they all kind of turn afterwards and they're like going up to congratulate him on like a well-fought battle. They're like, oh crap, he's been dead for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Dude, I can remember that. And I haven't watched that in, I couldn't even tell you. I know it's been a hot minute. And like, I've always been able to remember that scene. Like, I always really liked the movie, but like that moment, even as a kid, I was like, dude, that's badass. Like that's intense.
That's interesting. That's interesting, isn't it? Like that's the connection there. That is like a huge scene that left an imprint on your mind from this movie.
Oh yeah.
And now you're sitting and co-hosting a show with somebody whose movie that is like a very special thing that he shared. So Corey, could you go a little bit more in depth why this movie was important to you and your friend? What was the connection that was brought there?
Absolutely. So, we were just starting out as kind of like, young starving students, right? I literally didn't have a TV even at that point. But when I moved in, we did some technological wizardry to turn a computer monitor, when back in the days when computer monitors and TVs were different things, we turned a computer monitor into a TV. And I had arranged the TV, and he managed to scrape together the money for the DVD player, and that was the first movie we sat down and watched. And after watching it, we were like, okay, we hadn't seen this previously. We picked it up because we thought it looked cool. And we're like, Viking movie? Absolutely. That's where we want to be. And then it turned into a thing where whenever one of us was having a bad day in that 2 or 3 years, the other one would pop some popcorn, plunk it down, pull out a couple of beers or a bottle of mead or whatever it was, turn on the movie and go, sit down, we're having a better day now. Like, that's it. When we had girlfriends, we would literally go, guys, I'm sorry, but like Tony needs me, or like, ladies, Tony needs me. You're on your own tonight. We're doing this. And they'd call and we just like grab the phone, put it, hang up, like go, movie's on, hang up, toss the phone away. Like that was, it was a ritual of this is what we do to get back into the right mood to be able to tackle the day, right? Because we're kind of sitting there going, if these group of guys who arguably are having probably like the shittiest experience they've ever experienced can get through, we can too, right? Like we can survive whatever nonsense is going on, right? Whether it's the crazy ex who, was trying to beat down our door, whether it was the weirdness of living in the building we were living in when we tried to make a curry chicken dinner and it was failing out horribly, and we had the little Indian ladies that lived in the building knocking on our door saying, you're using this spice wrong, we can smell it from here, right? To the one night where we had a massive power outage, but my friend there, Tony, he had a thing for skulls. That was his collection. So I was at the time working for a company that had like stocked a whole bunch of Halloween gear. So I pulled out like 150 of these skulls, put tea lights in all of them, lit the whole apartment with skull lights, like skull lanterns. He pointed them though all at the door, so they were all the eyes lit up looking at the door. He opens the door, I turn around in like my big badass chair and go, we've been expecting you, right? Just to make him laugh his ass off, right? Those kind of things, that was the life we had going. And, it wound up not ending because of anything necessarily bad. It was a situation of he had introduced me to my wife, and we started getting together, and we're like, we were going, well, we're going to have to get a place. And we're like, okay, well, how do we take Tony with us? Right? Like, how do we as a married couple have this dude live with us? And he then comes and he's like, listen, I've decided that I'm getting out of my current industry. I'm going to become a watchmaker, but I got to move to Quebec. And as it turns out, I wound up being part of the group that introduced him to a girl that happened to live in Quebec that turned out to be his wife. So like, that's how crazy a uniform thing happened around that, right? We were each other's best man at our weddings. Like, I literally drove him up to his wedding because he had such craziness trying to get up to this wedding. I'm like, nope, get in the car, we're going, you know? Get in, loser, we're gonna go get you married. You know? But it was that kind of world, and it was just the right time in our life to be swept away by an epic. And this was the epic that we latched onto, and this was our feel-good, our pump-up movie. The thing that we watched when we wanted to get back into the game and get going again. And yeah, it was almost like this sacred thing, right? You know, I mean, hell, the only time we ever paused the movie was one time, and this was just to mess with people. We had a pair of Mormon missionaries come to the door.
I like where this is going.
Oh, you're gonna really love this. And I turn to him and I go, all right, follow my lead. Like, whatever happens, just go with it, right? And of course, as soon as I say something like this to my friend, like, both of us have this mischievous streak, so he knew I had something planned. So we open the door and we go, oh, thank goodness, you're just in time for prayer, right? You know, we're doing a prayer circle. Come on in, come on in. Of course, we didn't tell him what gods we were praying to until we had already locked the door. And of course, when you start a prayer circle with, lo there do I see my father, and you got a pair of Mormons scrambling for the door, you know, desperately trying to unlock it, no less, right? I mean, we had a great time, you know? Like, but, you know, that's the level of, like, craziness and madness that was my brother, right? And we would get up to it together. You know, we routinely wound up dating, like, the same girl at different times. You know, it was just that sort of thing, like, where we'd be like, you know, he'd turn to me and be like, so you dated her, right? And I'm like, yeah, she was a lot of fun, but, you know, crazy. And he'd be like, well, how crazy? Like, am I gonna get stabbed in the middle of the night crazy? Or is she just gonna, like, hide under a table at a restaurant crazy? And I'm like, oh, hide under a table at a restaurant. And he's like, oh, I can deal with that. Okay, let's do this, right? Like, that was the kind of attitude, that was the kind of relationship. It was, you know, just, if I wasn't born genetically with a brother, but I have to imagine that if I had had a brother, this was what it would be like. Right? You know, minus, of course, the random fights and whatnot. I mean, now, granted, my wife will tell, well, my wife will tell the story of how we decided that the most ethical way to deal with disagreements on the chores was naturally a lightsaber duel. You know, I mean, that seems to be the most reasonable way to deal with it.
Yeah, I tried something similar.
Is that not what everybody does with their wives?
Well, I tried to, like, challenge.
This was my friend. Now, what happened though was my wife would get so frustrated because we'd be having these epic battles, the Duel of the Fates, routinely, that she'd just get frustrated and go do it. And as soon as we realized that that was what was going to happen, well, you can imagine every single thing turned into a lightsaber duel.
Yeah, see, I tried something similar. I picked video games that I was good at and was like, hey, you want to fight each other over the chores? And then, of course, you know, that she didn't really like that. And then, of course, countered with, okay, well, let me run you through a sim scenario. See if you can make more money than me without cheating. And I'm like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Game's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, I only want to play games I beat you at. Isn't that right, John?
Oh no, dude! My wife, I showed her. Well, I didn't really show her. We started playing Mortal Kombat together, and I was like, you know, this is gonna be a joke. I should go easy, but obviously never let anybody win. If you can't win, don't play. But I was 100% wrong. Apparently, the only video games this woman enjoys are Call of Duty and Mortal Kombat, and she also respects all of the rules of, like, don't be a spammer, and that's when it gets just so frustrating. Well, no, it's a great rule, especially, like, when you're, you know, doing, like, we've never done it for chores or anything like that, but we just do it for gaming to have fun together. But, like, it's so frustrating to be good at a game and then have somebody walk on be equally as good, but also have no clue how to do a single combo. Like, I've lost to her fatalities many times, and she still cannot figure out up, down, over B. And it's not fair.
Hey man, I feel you. All I can say is never get into a Pokemon duel with my wife. You will just lose.
That's awesome.
Like, she's just like the female trainer was, I think, based on my wife.
Dude.
That's the only way I can describe it. She's just glorious at it. And I mean, like,
so great.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I try, but man, no.
And thank you, Carrion, for even though being put on the spot, I know we just kind of sprung this on you because we wanted to kind of make it a gesture of, hey, we care, but I don't want you to think it's all the time. No,
you see, now you've done it. Now you've absolutely done it. You've exposed yourself as a reasonable, decent human being.
Yeah,
and you're now going to have to put up with the consequences of that from now on.
See, but I haven't yet.
Because Brandon didn't watch it on time. Because I didn't tell him.
No, I don't know. This was a last minute thing, guys. This was not. No, and the thing is about your story, that's kind of one of the reasons. Well, it really is one of the reasons why I'm doing this show and why I want to push to restore respect in a discourse, because your entire story, really, in the memory that you had with your friend, it was based on shared love for movies, shared experiences, stuff that matters. The stuff that we need to get back to as people, regardless of what country we're in, because this you're not going to have stories. This beautiful story that Corio just shared, the beautiful life that we kind of just have to take Corion's word for, that existed from Tony. You're not going to have those stories if you're dividing yourself over stuff. No?
And as to taking my word for it, look, the stories involving Tony and I are too screwed up to not be true.
Oh,
that's one of those weird things.
I'm just saying it to be facetious. I'm not actually doubting
fair.
anything. Yeah, no, I know. Well, you knew this was coming. You used your magic to see into the future. You prepared this story. No, none of that.
No. Okay, you know what? I'm going to say this right now because I get away with, because now you've opened the door, so I'm going to do it.
No, right.
You know how witches actually live to be like hundreds of years old and gray and shit like that? It's because we out-prepare for freaking everything. Okay? We are the Batmans of the mystical world. Okay?
Look, I'd rather have something and not need it than need it and not have it, all right?
Exactly, right? Like,
even to my detriment.
Somewhere in this house, there is a box that is set up for just every contingency. Just accept that. That's how it is. And I've got it already.
Yeah, no, you're talking to an idiot prepper here. Like, I totally agree with that. I've got similar, dehydrated food sitting in a basement right now, because that's you never know. And it's not necessarily, tyrannical government. It's hurricanes, earthquakes. There's any number of situations, uprisings from witches. You never know what you're going to expect.
Rabid flying monkeys that just happen to visit. Yeah.
I know who I'm going to be angry at if that happens, and I know it's not going to be you directly, but I'm going to blame you anyway because I'm stupid. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
You mean the Wicked Witch of the West?
Well, and then,
well, technically I'm northeast, right? So.
Yeah. It's that's pretty good. If anything, it's between John and I who the Wicked Witch of the West is.
Dude, on a weird random note,
I definitely feel a little bit more trained.
My Sea of Thieves profile, the pet I have in that, I specifically bought because as soon as I thought of it, I thought of the Wizard of Oz monkeys, because it's like it's like a red, brown, and black mechanical monkey with a heart in the center, and I was like, it's just Wizard of the Oz monkey, so I named it Ozzy.
Right on.
Perfect.
That's fantastic.
Like, this is the only pet I need in this game.
And you know what? I will say this. When it comes to Wizard of Oz, I feel like it's the perfect witch movie. Because you have...
it's just a perfect movie all around.
You have a good witch, you have a bad witch, and they're fighting over a pair of shoes. That is like 100% that community.
This is my deal at
So wait, does the Wizard of Oz take place in California?
Pretty much. I mean, like,
It's actually a
it's-
tale about Dolce and Gabbana.
No, it takes
Right?
place where it takes place because there's only the one pair of shoes in existence.
All right, let's actually do this closeout right this time. Let me go. Let's
Did
see.
you do it wrong last
Start.
time?
Yeah, we do it wrong every week. Throw your channels
Oh.
in the private chat so John can throw them up on the regular chats and blast them to the world. So we can do our promotions properly. I've been meaning. Yeah, this is something I want to start doing so we can start promoting channels. It doesn't even say you have to even be yours. If there's one that you guys feel you want to sponsor tonight and put out there, please, by all means. Do a shout out to Maria with Tea and Telly. She's starting a new program where she's weekly gonna put on her Zen Buddhist official. I can't remember the title now for some reason, but she's just gonna talk to you. Any issues you want to talk through, she's gonna help talk you. Not a licensed psychologist, but those people are a ripoff anyway, so you're getting free therapy.
Yeah, and let's be honest, everybody could use somebody to talk to.
Absolutely. Corion, you have your own standalone solo channel, so if people need
I
to watch, the first Ryder Brother Avenger or whatever, or the third one, I don't know.
The coolest one? No. But here's what I will say. I am Corion, your witch in residence on YouTube. I talk about spiritual stuff, but I do it through the lens of pop culture. So anytime you want to check it out, please feel free. My videos aren't ridiculously long, but they ask
And we
some
love you
important
for that.
questions. Yeah, but they ask some important questions, and I love getting audience feedback. So please join in, comment, let me know what you guys think. Even if it's something along the lines of, dude, do whatever movie, I will do it. Even if it's bad, especially if it's bad.
Yep, and thank you for the kind feedback, Maria. You're great as well. And of course, we grow together. And then, of course, Brandon, Devil Cry 3, you're primarily on Twitch.
Yeah, I'm primarily on Twitch. I honestly haven't streamed in like 3 or 4 weeks. I've been so busy.
Happens to us all.
I've been planning on trying to do a Throwback Thursday stream, Fallout New Vegas again, which I've done a bunch of times, but this time I've been working on getting mods set up to play Fallout New Vegas with mods for the first time ever. And so I've been just like steadily doing that every once in a while. Like that's what I was doing last night while I was watching those shows. On one screen I had the shows running, and then the other one I was just like clicking and downloading, setting up. Alright, generate game. Okay, game functions. It's not dead. Cool. Problem solved. Moving on to the next one.
Hey,
just systematically doing them.
shout out to your multitasking, man. That's great that you're gonna
That's
put more
awesome.
content for your channel, and of course we'll absolutely do what we can to help on our end with that. And yeah, I'm probably gonna be putting a video out this week after Strange New Worlds finishes up about how not to write a first season. Not to hamper the mood there, Brandon. I know you're liking the show, and please don't take my opinion as though, please don't take my opinion as law, because it's
Don't worry, I won't.
definitely not.
Well, not yet, anyway. Give us time.
Yes, the Ryder brothers will rule you all. And of course, a shout out to Orville Nation. PJ's really doing he's really trying to take the lead in promoting We Grow Together to get a lot of independent content creators out there and networked, and he's from what I understand, I haven't talked to him enough directly yet, but I know some of you guys have, and he's sort of involved with pop culture in his own way, and he wants to help us grow, and we obviously want to help any other independent creators that eventually I'd like to see the Ryder brothers be where people could get their start. Not because I need to stroke my own ego. I get enough of that from, well, I don't do that anymore. Really because I want to be able to just help people. This is something that we should have done a long time ago, and I wish we had started sooner in the game looking back. But you know what? There were a lot of insecurities and stuff that I had to overcome myself, a lot that I still need to overcome. And so I'm just happy that we're even doing it. And I want to help give that same gift and that same motivation to those who are trying to do that as a way to give back to people who give us support. And hopefully very soon we can talk merchandise. We actually have an idea of how to do that we think would be unique while also affording a membership opportunity. But that's more to follow. Other than that, any last words, guys? We got about 2 minutes or so, I think, before.
Well,
the
just to
credits
add
roll.
in,
Shout out to Chris Karaoke, CC Karaoke.
yes,
He is not missing because we asked him to leave. He's missing because life asked him to leave.
Yes,
We miss him deeply, and that's why his
we
channel
do.
is included as well.
We do, but he also does have a big following on the karaoke side, and he's trying to get people excited about the Ryder Brothers in his own way, and so we appreciate all his continued support. We do look forward to hopefully having him back around fall time, time permitting, and so we definitely want to see him back, and anyone else who wants to come join our discussion. We're here every Tuesday, so.
yeah, and I was just gonna say to the talking about PJ at Orville Nation, having worked with him in the past, he's a wonderful human being. He's a wonderful spirit of a man, and do check him out. Check out Maria. She is like arguably, I think, one of the best YouTubers in existence. Excluding of course everyone on this panel. But definitely do check her out. And check out PD's videos. He's got like way better production value than anything I've ever put out. He actually knows how to cut a video, which is something that I am still struggling to do. So do check him out. And of course, Devil Cry 3, dude, your commentary during games is actually pretty damn glorious.
Oh, have you
I
gone
love
and
listening to
rewatched
it,
some
Rick.
stuff?
Oh yeah, I have. And,
My favorite is my Resident Evil 3 playthrough.
well, all I'll say is this, dude. I do my homework. Is all I'm gonna say. But
No,
man. No, look.
You guys are all
He's
good
wonderful.
and helping to make this into something more than really what it is, and so it's truly, it says a lot to your guys' character, and unfortunately that's pretty much brings us to the edge. I want to thank all of our listeners today, and I want to thank everybody who watched all the way through live. And if you're listening to this, we're on every Tuesday, 6:30 Mountain Time, PM, not the horrible AM. And I'm Peter York, the Ryder Brothers. We'll see you next week.
I love you. Welcome to Cocktail.